Today I'm sharing 6 things that I stopped doing to lose 56 pounds, and the 6th one is quite controversial. The first thing that I stopped doing was thinking that I could guess my way to weight loss. So many people that I talk to think that they can just guess their way to weight loss. They think that if they just start eating healthily, then the weight is just going to fall off. And they might lose a few pounds to start with, which is what gives them the encouragement that what they're doing is working. So they might lose that initial water weight because simply they've changed the types of foods that they're eating. So the weight does fall off, but it's just water. And then because they're eating the same number of calories that they've always eaten, the weight stops falling off and their weight loss becomes stagnant and they plateau and they just think, well, it's not working for me. Healthy eating doesn't work for me. So I'm just going to go back to eating what I was eating before because I can't get weight loss to work for me. Now, that's not exactly what I was doing. I did know, and I've always known, that it's the number of calories that you consume which helps you to lose the weight. You have to take in less calories than you burn in order to lose the weight. And I did know this. So Monday to Friday, I had a perfect diet. I would stick to my calorie budget and I would be dropping pounds on the scales Monday to Friday. And I thought, this is working. This is fantastic. So between Monday and Friday, I'd probably lose between 2 and 3 pounds on the scale. This was quite normal for me. And then what would happen was that the weekend came along and I would guess my way to weight loss during the weekend. So during the weekend, I would think, oh, it's the weekend. I don't want to be restrictive. I don't want to stick to my calorie budget. I'm just going to guess my way to weight loss. I'm going to think that I'm going to eat less than I would normally do at the weekend, and it'll probably be okay because I've already lost that 3 pounds Monday to Friday. But now the weekend's happened, even if I gain 1 or 2 pounds over the weekend, then I'll still have lost weight. So it'll all work out just fine. But of course, I would get on the scales on a Monday morning and I'd be 3 pounds heavier than I was during the week. So I lost 3 pounds, I gained 3 pounds at the weekend, and my weight loss would stay exactly the same and it wouldn't budge. And I made this mistake for far too long, an embarrassingly long time, years and years and years. I thought that I could get away with this. I thought that I could just magically make this happen. I thought I could just guess my way through it. I thought I could look at the food I was eating, and I've been losing weight for so long. I know how many calories are in this and that and the other. But the problem is that we've all got selective memories. So we have a little snack in the morning. We think, oh yeah, that's only 100 calories. And then I'll have a 300 calorie lunch and that's fine. Then I'll have another 100 calorie snack. And then you think, how many calories have I had? I can't remember. I'm not keeping track. I'll just have a 600, 700 calorie dinner. And then I'll go out for dessert. I've had a very low calorie day. I think I can have a dessert. Yes, of course I can have a dessert and still lose weight. 800 calorie dessert later. And then of course, you haven't stuck to your calorie budget. You've just guessed your way through it. And this is the mistake I made for too long. Second mistake I made for many, many years is I would base my meals on grains. Grains like wheat, rice, pasta, bread, these are all grains. And meals that are based on grains are when people say to you, what are you having for dinner? And you say, I'm having pasta. Pasta is a grain. Or you say, I'm having pizza. Pizza's a grain. Or you say, I'm having a sandwich. That's a grain. I'm having cereal. That's a grain. I'm having risotto. That's a grain. Paella, a grain. And I'm not saying you can't eat these foods and lose weight. It is perfectly possible if you're very strict with yourself and if you don't get hungry. But the problem is that grains make most people super hungry. They don't satisfy you enough. And another problem is that grains are really high in calories. So they take up a lot of your calorie budget. Another problem is grains are very low in protein and quite low in nutrients. So your body keeps sending these hunger signals when you eat too many grains because it wants more nutrients. It wants you to find more protein. So unless you eat enough protein with your grains, you're not going to feel satisfied and full, and your body's going to keep sending you those hunger signals. And the problem is if you have a decent amount of protein and a decent amount of grains, like a rice dish with some chicken breast thrown in there, it's going to be too high in calories for the average female. Most females can't eat like that. Men can eat like this. Yes, men can get away with it. but not women. We just don't have enough calories to do that. I'm not saying you never have to eat grains again. I'm not going to be that extreme about it. But basing your whole meal on them is not going to give you the success that you want. And I did this for many, many years, and I was hungry all the time, and I just couldn't stick to my calorie budget because I was battling my own starvation. So now when I'm planning my meals, I don't plan the carbs, the grains. Yes, I have carbs. I have lots of carbs, but I don't have the grains. I first of all think of my protein. What is my protein source? And I base my meal around that. And I decide what veggies I'm going to have with that. Veggies are my carbs. My fats and my protein are probably in something animal-based, like meat, eggs, cheese. And yes, there are vegan products that are protein-based as well. A lot of them are vegan burgers and vegan sausages, but you have to know what you're looking for. A lean protein source that's got at least 10 grams of protein per 100 calories. That is a lean protein source. So yes, you can eat vegan and still eat lean protein sources, but they're all going to be processed foods because there are no vegan sources that are lean protein that are not processed. When I started basing my meals on protein, I was satisfied. I was full. I felt like I was well nourished. I felt healthy, and I was able to stick to my calorie budget. And I could do this on the weekends as well. The next thing I stopped doing was making complicated diet recipes. You know, the ones that have got 20 ingredients, all these different herbs and spices, and then you throw in a can of chickpeas and you roast chickpeas, or you throw in some little sprinkling of roasted nuts on the top with this added watercress thing on the side and a drizzle of cashew cream on the top. This is the kind of thing that you should be eating in a fancy restaurant, not at home, not for a regular day, not unless you've got all the time in the world, you don't have anything else to do. Yes, make all the complicated meals you want, but otherwise, the average person just doesn't have time for eating like this. It's too much. And a lot of recipe books do these complicated meals because they have to do something different because they don't want to be boring. If they just said, eat a slab of meat and a slab of vegetables, how could they even sell a recipe book based on that? So we don't even need recipes. You don't even need to follow recipes at all. Just look on the back of the packet, look at the calories, keep it really simple. When I started keeping it really simple, I found that I was spending less time in the kitchen. I wasn't getting stressed cooking all these different meals for all these different family members. I kept it real simple food and I just made it up myself. So this is what I do to keep it simple. I decide on my protein source, something very easy, a slab of meat, an egg, a bit of cheese, some sausages, burgers, whatever it is. And I cook that separately. And then I decide what veggies are going to go with that protein source. Is it a salad? Is it cooked veggies? Is it roasted veggies? And then I think, how am I going to get this meal to be tasty? What small addition can I make to this meal that won't take very much time for myself, that I can add to this meal to make it very tasty? What condiments can I use? What sauces that other people have created can I throw a little bit on, or a gravy, or a mint sauce, or a cranberry sauce, or a bottled sauce, whatever it is? I'm not going to make the sauce because the sauce is too time consuming. I'm just going to buy a sauce, keep it simple, but I'm going to look on the packet and I'm going to see how many calories per 100 grams, and I'm probably going to have 10 grams. So I might have around about 30 to 50 calories of this tasty sauce. And that's what makes my meal delicious. That's what makes me enjoy my meal. Keep things interesting and different. Different flavors is somebody else's sauce. It's easy. I calculate the calories in the meat, calculate the calories in the veggies, and I calculate the calories in the sauce. And that is it. And if you eat like this, you can eat like this at weekends too. You don't really have to even plan complicated recipes at the weekend. You just think, what's my protein source? What's my veggies? How can I make it tasty? Simple as that. You can do this on the go. What I do is I go to the supermarket and I just buy a block of cheese. And it tells me the whole packet contains 300 calories. So I think, well, that's my meal. I'm just going to have 300 calories. I'm going to buy a little salad that says it contains 30 calories because it's just lettuce and tomato and cucumber. And I'm going to eat those two things together. And I've got about 300 calories. And I might buy something tasty to go on the top as well. Like I might have a little bottle of sweet and sour sauce and I just drizzle a bit on the top. And that's 350 calories to 400 calories. And that is my lunch. And I take that out with me. It is so simple and easy. Do the same with cooked meat, cooked chicken, ham, cooked boiled eggs, just buy it and throw it together. See my other video on how to lose weight with food platters that utilizes this very simple food platter system of just throwing stuff together and you don't even have to cook. The next thing I stopped doing to lose the weight was I stopped telling people that I was on a diet. And the reason why I did this is because I knew that as soon as I finished my so-called diet, I would gain the weight back. So I knew that I had to control my calories for life if I wanted to stay slim. And because I was always going to control my calories, then it didn't make any sense to always tell people that I was on a diet, because when I lost the weight, I'm not going to tell people that I'm on a diet and they'd look at me and say, "Don't be ridiculous, you don't need to lose weight." And I'd agree with them. I'm at my ideal weight. I don't need to lose weight. So why am I telling people I'm on a diet? But I'm still counting my calories. I'm still monitoring my weight. I'm watching my weight. So that state of watching my weight is always present, whether I'm losing weight or maintaining my weight, because my weight does fluctuate. Even though I'm at the weight I want to be, it still goes up and down. I have special occasions. I go on holiday. My weight goes up. It goes up by a few pounds. And then I bring it back down. It goes up, down, up, down. So I'm always watching my weight. So I'm not going to tell people I'm on a diet. There's absolutely no point. I'm not going to get into this restrictive mindset of feeling deprivation and feeling like, oh, I can't, poor me. I'm on a diet. I can't have this. I can't have that. I decided that yes, I'm going to control my calories, but I'm going to eat food that I absolutely adore and look forward to, whether I'm losing weight or maintaining my weight. I'm going to love my diet. I'm not going to be on a diet. I'm going to be eating a diet for life. But I don't tell people I'm on a diet. I just say to them, no, thank you. And if you find it hard to say no to people, go and watch my other video on how to say no to food pushers. The other thing I stopped doing was I stopped making food that I didn't absolutely love. I stopped pretending that I was an ultra healthy person, that I had to make sacrifices in order to be healthy, that I was going to eat disgusting rabbit food because I was a healthy person and that's what healthy people had to do. I decided that I was going to find a way to be a healthy person and also eat food that I loved. So I searched inside myself and I admitted to myself that I loved junk food. I did. I didn't want to eat rabbit food every single day. So I thought, how can I have the best of both worlds? How can I eat food that I absolutely love, that feels and tastes like junk food and it's so delicious, but it's also really healthy? So I looked at the food that I like to eat and I thought, how can I change it to be healthier and also incorporate healthier things alongside it? So instead of having a burger with a burger bun, which is grains, so most of my meal would be based on grains, I thought I'm going to buy a big, chunky burger that's very high in calories and it's not got grains inside it, it's just pure meat. And instead of the burger bun, I'm going to make my own burger bun out of 2 little round eggs. And that's going to give me extra protein, extra nutrients, extra healthy fats. It's going to satisfy me, fill me up. And then I'm going to put a salad with it. And the salad is going to be my nutrition, even more nutrition. So the whole meal is nutritious. It doesn't sound it. It sounds like junk food. I'm going to go and have a burger. So I'm still having a burger. I'm not depriving myself. I'm just making it nutritious and food that I still love. And I thought, what did I used to like about the burgers? I loved the melted cheese. So I'm going to have the melted cheese because it's full of protein, calcium, nutrients, and it's delicious. And I'm going to have the gherkins. I'm going to have the lettuce. I'm going to have the mayo, but I'm not going to have the full fat mayo. I'm going to have the lowest calorie mayo because I can't even tell the difference. And I'm going to have the sweet and sour sauce. And I'm going to have the spicy peppers. I'm going to have the whole works. I'm going to have a loaded burger because that's what I love. I'm not going to deprive myself on taste. And that helps me to always stick to my calorie budget by always eating food that I loved. And here's something I stopped doing, which is pretty controversial, and it probably will annoy a lot of people. But I stopped being a vegan. I was a vegan for 15 years, a really long time, a really long chunk of my life. And about 10 years into being a vegan, I suddenly was diagnosed with celiac disease, which is like an allergy to gluten. So not only was I vegan, but I was also gluten-free. So I had a very, very restrictive diet. And it got to the point where I felt like I couldn't go out for a meal. I could never enjoy myself because I could never find food to eat. No matter what restaurant or cafe or coffee shop I went to, they never had vegan and also gluten-free food. Sometimes now I do see this occasionally, but it's very few and far between. I couldn't just go to any restaurant. Everybody had to come to the restaurant that I wanted to go to because they had that one meal that I could eat. And if I got there and they'd run out of those ingredients, I couldn't eat. So I couldn't have a flexible life. I couldn't have an adventurous life. I couldn't go anywhere or do anything because I couldn't rely on any food source that anyone else was ever going to give me. And it wasn't just about flexibility of lifestyle. It was also that I found it really difficult to keep the weight off because I was permanently hungry. As a vegan, I couldn't have enough protein. At the time, I would argue black and blue with people. I'm getting enough protein. I'm following the RDA. But it wasn't enough. And the scientific studies show that we don't get enough protein, that the RDA is too low, that we can't stick to that and feel satisfied. We do not get enough protein if we stick to the RDA. It's not enough to protect our bones when we age. It's not enough to feel satisfied, to feel full. It's not enough to stop sending those hunger signals to your body that you need to eat more food. It didn't matter how big of a pile of veggies and chickpeas and rice I had as a vegan. I could eat 2 of them. I could eat 3 of them. I was never satisfied. And since I stopped being a vegan, I did finally feel like I was getting the nutrition that my body needed. And I used to hate it when I used to hear people say that as a vegan. But unfortunately for me, it has ended up being true. Let me know in the comments below, are there any of these 6 things that I've shared that you feel like you could stop doing that would help you? Or are there any things that you have stopped doing yourself that have really benefited you and helping you to lose the weight and keep it off? And I have a whole weight loss system that tells you everything you need to know to be the weight loss expert yourself. It starts you off with meal plans, but then it tells you how to create your own meal plans, how to stick to a calorie budget, how to make food that you absolutely love, how to avoid spending time in the kitchen, how to stick to this even when people put pressure on you. It tells you everything that you need to know, and it's currently 50% off. So go and grab that and click on the link below. And now it's your turn to go and get absolutely shredded.